Alrighty. It's Doc here. Dun, da, da, da. Another fun-filled day. Let's take a look and see what's going on. I see the contango in the gold, about $14, and I see the silver getting sold down again. And I guess that is the reason why we say it is a currency and it is not a metal. I know in the United States, everywhere else on the planet, it is a metal, but in the United States, against the dollar, it is a currency, and that's exactly what we see here. And as usual, it irritates any one of us who, tries to even remotely think about the fundamental concepts of the last 100 and 200, 300 years of investing. And since 1976, the game has changed, and we talk about that pretty much every day here also. And most people don't listen or don't, it's more frustrating to listen to more than it is they don't want to listen. It's probably very frustrating because it's a mathematical game now. It's a quantitative game, and it's a zero-sum factor removed game. And that's what really confuses people because they go, what is he talking about, zero factor? And what a zero factor is, imagine that you have a deck of cards, and you're playing a poker game with it. So, I mean, could you have 50 people playing with 52 cards? No. It would be literally who gets the best card. I guess there would be 4 ties. You could declare that the 4 aces are the red ace is better than the black ace, or the black ace is better than the red diamond. I don't know. You could make change the rules, but I mean, in the end result is that it wouldn't be a card game. And if you had 60 people who wanted to play, well, obviously there's only 52 cards. But when 1976 came along and they listed options, which removed the zero-sum factor. And so what happens now is you can have 10,000 people sitting at that table playing that card game. And what they've done is they've broken the cards into little teeny-weeny little slices. And so now there are thousands upon thousands of diamonds and thousands of spades and thousands of clubs and whatever that fourth one is. And that's the way it goes. And that's exactly what's going on. And that becomes a lot of confusion to a lot of people. It's like, what is he talking about? All I know is I buy and I sell. I try to buy it lower. I try to sell it higher. That's all I want to know about. And guess what? Everybody who's playing the math and the derivatives game are playing the same game as you. They want to buy it low and sell it high. Or they want to sell it high and buy it back cheaper. That's what they refer to as a short. So when we walk in this morning and we see, what do we see? Well, there's the euro up there. You can see it's moving off a little bit at the moment. You can see on the Chicago Quant it's trying to roll over a little bit right there. You can see our math is still up, though. Went into the buy there yesterday. And you can see here on J4X it's moving up fine and dandy, having a little weakness at the moment, nothing major. And as you can see on the spreadsheet, we are now 5 weeks in a weekly buy, or the the fact check sheet, with how many days or weeks it's in a buy or a sell. And then you can say, well, geez, Doc, you said it's in a weekly buy for 10 weeks, but why has it been going down? Unfortunately for everybody else, but fortunately for us who follow the quants, it doesn't do that. It might squiggle a week down. It may go sideways a little bit here and there, but overall, the trend finds a way to be my friend, and it goes up in value. And there's the 5 weeks right there. Do you think this looks lower than that? And if you do, then you've got a good chance of being a trader. That's right. And if you think that is higher, if you think this area here is higher than that area there, I would be worried about giving you capital to trade with. All right. And so that's where we are now. I don't see any questions. It's kind of quiet today. No chit-chat. I just see 4 bodies in the house. I know it's a national holiday in Latvia. And so I don't know. We don't know. They don't know. To know. All right, and that's where we go from there. So now let's see. We just gave a long lecture on what is zero sum factor, and I think we may talk about that. That might be the title of this today because I think we're going to lean in that direction if no one's going to ask me questions. So let's go over and take a look at cable, and there's cable right there. And let's see now. Let's put the cable up there too at the same time. The same situation has occurred on line 13, and we are 4 weeks in a weekly buy, 1 day in a daily buy. Popped into the daily buy yesterday, as you can see here, right there. And you can see right here, J4X moving up nice and fine. And 4 weeks, so this is going on the 5th week, so that's like 5, that's like a 10, that's like a 15, that's a 20. So if you think this is lower than that point there, obviously our math is right. That's right. And if you think this is higher than that point there, then our math is still right. You just don't know what's up or down. I guess that's the way to look at it, huh? All right. So there we go. See, you better ask questions, or I'm just going to go into my deep intellectual twisted mind, and I will start rambling about all kinds of fun things in here. But today, and this, unless someone jumps in, we're going to talk zero sum factor, and that's really what's going on here is a zero sum factor, and we're really disappointed that we're not seeing a silver. Let's take a look at silver. Since we're at cable, and that's the namesake of their base of assets, I guess you could say. Right there, you can see there's silver, 1760. You can see, oopsie daisy, heading down. We were 12 weeks in a buy, and 3 days in a buy, and obviously, with the way that's going, it's definitely not going to be happy about that. So let's go find silver on our quant and see what it's doing at the moment. And you can see it there, it's busting down. See, look at that. Boom. We had some red dots, and we were in the daily buy from here, as you can see. And now that's odd. That doesn't make sense. So what do we have here? We'll have to fix that. What is wrong with that? What's wrong with that picture? That buy doesn't belong there at all. Matter of fact, yeah, 3. So that sell belongs there, but the buy does not. So let's remove that. I don't know how that got in there. All right, and let's fix that. So where are we? We're 3 in the minus, not in the plus. There we go. 3 there. It's the wrong side of the ball. No, it's 2. Is it 2? It is 2. That's what it is. It's 2. So let's put that in there. 2. There we are. And so you can see we're pressing down in there, and we've been in a weekly buy here. But look at this. We're dipping underneath the weekly sell number. So this is interesting here. I had a feeling, I mentioned this to Robin at Chicago Quant. I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to throw this thing into the weekly sell for a week and then turn around and take this puppy up like there is no tomorrow. We'll see, because we follow the math, and if we don't follow the math, then we don't have anything to follow, because obviously fundamentals have nothing to do with this stuff anymore. But let's put it this way. Fundamentals that we see obviously don't have much to do with these metals anymore, because in a dollar terms, the silver obviously is not a metal, it's a currency. And so that really makes things a tad confusing overall. In about 80 other currencies, it is a metal, and it's outperforming the currency. But here in the States, the metal is it's 65% underneath its all-time high, not 6%, not 6 or 5%. 65. It's actually heading for 66%. Would it be 66? 6 times 18. I mean, 3 times 18. So that's 30 and 24. Now it's about 62%, 63% underneath its all-time high. Wow. That's like when you have 75 to 80 other currencies and the product is trading at all-time highs, you go, okay, then obviously this is not a metal in the United States. This is a currency. Now let's, since we're just jumping around here a little bit, let's take a look at gold. I did see the contango. It has come off a little bit here. Oh, not too much. 72 on the spot. And last I saw, gold was what was gold doing? I saw gold trading at like 80 something. So yeah, so there it is right there. 83, almost 84 is offered, and so you can see it right there, 83 and change, and you can see here it's trying to head down, but this is acting very strong in here, and that is line. What line is that? That's line 6. Let's see if we've actually got it in the right box. Yep, there's 5. And there's 2 weeks in a buy right there, and so that's what's going on with that, and that's in the end result is that's what's really going on is that the contango is about 12 now. When I first looked at it this morning, it was 14, and I'd imagine that when it tightens up, markets are more comfortable. They're not as all over the place. In other words, there must be pressure on the spot to push these things into that situation, and that's the way I see it. Is I don't. I don't really see it any other way. Is that I think that's what they're doing. Is I think that they're putting the pressure on the product itself, and so the brokerage houses around have to move their spot. Trust me, obviously if Dukascopy is that price, then everybody is that price in the neighborhood, or they'd be doing an arbitrage, and they would be buying it from each other and chasing after and taking profits. So as far as I can tell, that's probably what's going on now. Is that the carry trade is exploded again, and that's obviously because of demand. If they widen it, it means that there's a lot of buyers there. Now you would think, obviously, when most people try to analyze markets in general in a fundamental way, yeah, the first thing they're thinking is, hell yeah, I'd rather own gold than own blah blah blah. Well, obviously, it doesn't seem to be working too well because we are. I loved it yesterday. I'm going to drift a little bit from a statement I heard. We're at multi-year highs. I like that. The fake financial medias, they are dying to tell us how bad things are, and so they're starting to say that gold is at multi-year highs. I like that one. That's pretty good. Multi-year highs. So, yeah. Wow, look at that. It's at multi-year highs. And then they don't say a word about silver, like multi-year lows. No, they just go, oh, and silver's trading at blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Isn't it horrible? No wonder fundamentals don't work anymore. The people who report them have no validity anymore. So people are just turning their heads all together and going, well, what comes out of their mouths obviously doesn't have any validity. Why are we paying attention to it? And it seems to be the whole circumstance we have now. Again, that's why we do Chicago Quant, technologies. Just showing that obviously price always precedes news. And the fundamentals in the end result are being pushed further and further away by the people who are reporting them, hoping that they become closer and closer. All right. Back to that zero-sum factor. So, what can a trader do? Well, what a trader do is they can try to learn a little bit about options. There's two types of options. There's a call and there's a put. The call, I guess you could say, is the buy side option. And the put is like the short or the downside option. And that's what they are. And then after that, there's so many. Imagine if you had a deck of cards and you split up each card to represent like 1,000 of the same of itself. Only with a little bit different values, but all aces were still aces. It's just, in other words, all options in cable or the British pound are still British pound options. And same thing with the way we look at it there. And all those decks of cards and all those little slices, they do have different. They are still the same number, and that number represents that it's the cable. So an ace, in this case here, is a call and a put on an ace. And there's a call and a put on the king, and so forth. And then what they do is they're able to expand that there's more than one king of the same suit. And the same thing with the ace. There's more than one ace of diamonds. There's dozens upon dozens. And they have a little number that identifies each one of them. And that's what a strike price is. Not only that, they tell you when it's going to expire. So they tell you the day that it will not exist anymore, because they're like a banana or an apple or a piece of fruit. They have a half-life. They will expire. Because they're only a contract. They're not the underlying product itself. And so that's what's going on here. So if you're going to put a position on, you need to engage the options with the hard delta or the GBP itself. And that way you are now setting yourself up for a limited loss with sometimes a unlimited gain, depending on how much you're willing to invest. And that's the name of the game there. All right, now, where did we leave off at? Oh, cable, because of the contango. Where's it at now? Are they shrinking it down any? Nah, it's still hanging around the 83, almost 84. So it's about 12 premium. We've come in on some Mondays where things are so quiet, the contango has been 2 or 3. And then by the end of the day, it's like 4 or 5 or 6. The next day, it turns out to be like 12 or 10 or something like that. So it just shows you the pressure on the markets, how thin, because of look at the timeline between when they put the pressure on the product and when it jumps up in value. Obviously, it must be really hard to find people to buy and sell these things to you when you want to take delivery. And that seems to be the whole, gist of it all. So, all right, we did say what it was. Gold is 2 weeks in a buy and 5 days in a buy, and it's looking relatively firm there today. Whereas poor silver is getting smackadoodled, and we'll see how it functions in this 17-18 area, and if it builds a base in there to go higher. That's what we're thinking. We're thinking that it could possibly build a base in there. But I was thinking it would give us the sell first. And when you see the pattern here on J4X, you can see there is a shelf developing. And so they're really putting some pressure into it today. Who knows? Let's see. Currencies are going down, right? So does that mean they sell? Let's see. So that means you would buy dollars. Or in this case here, if you buy dollars, it makes you long. So then what do you do with silver? Do you buy silver? Because it's dollar denominated, and you're selling euros. Let's see. So you're selling euros, you're buying dollars, and so gold is going up and was going up in value. So was silver at one point. Now it's going down. So something has reversed. Let's see what euro is doing. Let's see if the euro is like made a bounce up. Right there. It looks a little bit higher, but not much from where we looked at it last. And it was in the 70s then, too. Let's see what cable's doing. There's cable. And same situation. You can see J4X is really saying that this thing wants to go up. I think our work is doing the same thing, too. Let's take a look at it again. Yeah. You can see it's trying. It's doing its battle. Top left? What is top left? Let's refresh this. Do a Control R. I have no idea what top left is. There we are. And so you can see it's trying to lift up, but it's not. It's backfilling now, but that's cool. It's trying to lift up. We've got green dots going on. You can see here this thing is trying to lift up, but we're seeing silver move down. So again, fundamentals, sayonara. All right, let's jump over to Turkish lira, one of our fun ones. 29 weeks in a buy, 1 day in a sell, so that's cool. Let's see what they've done to this thing. Fine. I think it was like 12 or 13 days in a buy at one point. Let's see. Right there. Oh, they're lifting it up again today. See how much that is. Nothing really. Look how tight that is. You can see the white line is still trying to hold up really well in there. Maybe it's going to do one of these things, and make another dash to the top of this area. Maybe it'll take out some highs in here and we'll get going. I don't know. And let's see what Turkish lira looks like there. There we are there. You see the same things going on here. Got a little red and green dot, and it's trying to turn up again. Right there. It's trying to turn up again. They really can't find a way to sell this thing down at all. One day they go down into the sell, and the next thing you know, boom, right back into the buy again. I mean, there's just no. Look at all those green dots. Trying to do a little red there. The day before was no dot at all, and it closed below the zero line, and put it into the sell. And now what are they doing? They're lifting it back up again. I guess this thing is just going to keep on stumbling along, And then, like I said, I watched this, and I watched the South African rand, and I watched the Chinese yuan, and I watched the ruble, and I'm trying to figure out when is the yuan going to catch up. And it looks like the same thing's going on with the Turkish lira. It looks like it's trying to catch up to those particular currencies. So, I imagine we'll stumble around in the 6.5 to 7 and change area for the next year. And then if obviously if President Aragon develops a policy that enhances it, then it may go to the 10 or 11 or 12 area. You never know. Or if he changes a policy and makes it go to the 5 or 6 or the 4 again, the low 6s and into the low 5s and the 4s again, we'll see. We can't predict what Mr. Aragon's going to do. We just can watch his currency and see what it's been doing. And under his guidance, this thing has climbed very well from the 1.5 to the 7 area. So we'll see how that rolls along. Now, speaking of which, since we did that, let's go take a look at the ruble. There's a ruble there, holding some firmness there today. Again, not really tight. Look at the white line and J4X pounded down. It's not really lifting much at all. It's been gliding down. And where are we on this thing here on the spreadsheet? We're 11 weeks in a sell and 3 days in a sell on the the fact check sheet. And let's take a look at it there. And you can see the same situation there on the Chicago Quant. You see it all there. You see what it's doing. It's been heading down and below the zero line. It's daily fell below. You got some red dots going on, and there's no love for it at the moment. Actually, this is one of those products when it goes down, it's love for it. It is love for it. I mean, a 69 ruble. I would really like to see like a 49 ruble. I wonder, I guess in some ways, it does help the commerce to buy Russian goods. Now, I'm not really sure, besides the oil, which they're one of the largest oil producers in the world. They're in the top of the top, tied with the other two majors. Does that help them sell it, or do they sell it? Have they stopped selling it in dollars, or it goes back and forth. I think they were selling it in dollars, and I think maybe now they've stopped selling it in dollars. I don't know, something like that. We'll have to see. But that is what's going on there, and that's really, I guess, really what we're shooting for here is we're shooting for, to see if the ruble can, really start to, head back down again. And maybe they don't want it to head back down again. Maybe they're happy with it up here. It allows exports easier, that's for sure. And I'm sure they would like to have more exports in other goods besides just oil. So that seems to be part of the whole equation right there. We'll see if that really means anything over time. But I would hope. I keep on thinking it's got such potential. Educated workforce, resources. Enormous amounts of resources. From minerals to oils to just all that. They have a educated workforce, as I mumbled a few seconds ago. That means that they have the ability to create industries that most countries can't, and they have the resources to pay for them. So that is the things that are catching my eye. And I always think, oh yeah, they're going to really kick it up. Things are going to get really much better for them there. And so I guess as time goes on and the laws change, then we will see, better industry. Because the way you govern has an effect on your businesses and your people. So that's the things that I think about when I look at the ruble. I keep on thinking, a lower ruble would be really interesting. It would just show me that there's a lot of demand. Because I don't really think I don't know. I at 68, 69, I have a hard time believing that the Russian Federation is happy with it in that area. I would think they would want it lower. We'll see. As time goes on, we'll see. We've seen it drift down into the 50s. We've caught those moves with our math, of course. But we'll see as time goes on, and you can see that slowly. It's almost like the Turkish lira in a sense. They've both moved off of that peak, from the panic of the coronavirus. So I guess that's the next thing that's driving everybody crazy. All right, let's head over to Canadian. Right there. See, it's a little firm. That is line 20. 5 weeks in a sell. We're 2 days in a sell. Okay. Not really doing much. You can see the white line on J4X heading south. And the pressure does seem to be on the product. As you can see here on J4X. Where is it at? Right there. You can see we're minus there. In fact, we should try to make that bigger. Thickerish, like that. Yeah, that helps out a little bit. There we go. You can see it there. So you can see we're underneath, and it's been that pressure on it. But look at this today. They're starting to try to lift it up. We got a green dot, and it's trying to head back up from the last few days. But we'll have to see how that rolls along here. A lot of times this currency has a natural tendency to, do these things in the European hours, and then all of a sudden you only have the U.S. hours and the Canadian hours left. I guess in the Mexican hours, and the next thing you know is the product finds a way to change direction and roll over again. So let's see. Oh, I just missed a headline. S&P on the best city private banking. Huh. Wow, there's a tough place. Dow on track for best quarter since 1987. That's something. So I'd imagine they'll try to hold this market up for at least another 4 or 5 days, just so that they can go out next Wednesday. Let's see, 4th is Saturday, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st is Wednesday. So Tuesday. So what I'm figuring is they're going to try to, they'll try to hold this market up as best as they can all the way to there. They'll be able to walk around telling everybody that this is the best quarter since 1987, like the crash of 1987, I imagine. And we picked the V bottom there, just like we picked the V bottom here. Wow, silver down 2.5% today. They're running the tape, and I can see the numbers. All right, let's see. What else do we got going on here? Let's jump over to the Swiss. Let's see what the Swiss is up to. Right there, one below it. That is line 21. 4 weeks also in a sell and 2 days in a sell. You can see it's trying to perk its head up. But look at the J4X line. It's rolling over. And 4 weeks, so obviously this is about 4 weeks back in here, right? So that'd be 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So somewhere in here we went into a weekly sell. And obviously the weekly trend is following, or we're following them down. We're following it down, 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 down she goes. Where she stops, no one knows. And that's pretty much where it's at. And so the zero-sum factor to this. Because now look at that. That's a rate of change. Rate of change is trying to turn up. Interesting. But I don't, I don't trust that. We've seen that. Look at it. It did it right there, right in that last little slam. I mean, our math is the math. We beat the bomb. And that's what it really comes down to. Is our math tells you, you catch these little waves here like that one where it went to the buy there and then it broke down again. And in this case here, it's really sidelined itself. Interesting. Interesting. Position opening. Go, robot, go. All right. And so, let's see. I heard a ding. Where's that ding from? Let's see if we can figure out who that is. Robin. Back in 10 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Robert Hinger's birthday today. Happy birthday, General Hinger. All right, Bob. Let's wish him a happy birthday. So, that is the Swiss. You can see it's kind of marching along doing its thing. And the only thing we can really say about all this at this point in time is that the product is, I don't know, just sideways. I guess it's a summer blues in some aspect. What happens when we get past next Tuesday? The quarter will end. Well, the stock indices, obviously, chances are, I doubt they're going. Let's put it this way: I doubt that they're going to get clocked between now and Tuesday. I would think that they would hold up unless something comes along, some type of major problem. But at this point, I don't think that's coming around the corner. Let's see. I guess we'll go on to the yen. Yen has been acting kind of jumpy, I guess you could say. Let's take a look at the yen. You can see it's only 1 week in a weekly sell, but 5 days in this sell on the fact check sheet. There we are. I learned that from Facebook. Fact check. Yes, indeed. And let's see. We got to put that up there. So let's put it up on the J4X. Right there. Whoa, they're taking it back up, aren't they? A little buying there. Not a lot when you look at that, and it's been in a weekly sell just for this 1 week now. And we'd been in a weekly buy for like 5 weeks, and it ran up, and then I guess it did the sell off here, and at the end of that, we went into the weekly sell right there. Somewhere in the middle of that, we went into the weekly sell. I think that's where those two lines were, was our weekly sell number. And then you can see it's pressed down, but not a lot. And you can see J4X is trying to turn up. Let's see, when this thing leaps past the dash line and the rate of change, we're going to see some buying. And do we have it up on there? Let's see. There it is right there. Let's widen this out too. Let's make it thickerish too for you people at home. Oh, that's too thickerish. There, it's better. Yeah, look at that. Just a lot of sideways action and more than down. A lot of red dots, and now it's trying to lift up in here. We'll see if it can get through the zero line. You see where it had gone into the weekly buy right here. And, we had that nice little pop. And now we're back below. We went into the weekly sell here, and we basically went nowhere for all that time period. So, it went down, then it went back to where we went into the sell. And, it's a kind of a tight market going nowhere. I think that's the best way to describe that. Oh, I didn't do it on here. There we go. You can see that right there. So you can see it went into the sell here, but we really didn't go anywhere. Then it went into the weekly buy right here. And you can see it climbed up, and then you can see it's kind of stumbling, went into the weekly sell. And, it's not a lot of excitement going on there. And when you look at it on J4X like that, if it wasn't for the Corona, with that, whoa, that V bottom, we'd be trapped between there and there. Matter of fact, you cut these things out, I guess. Those two crazy kids are there. So it is a quiet day. Don't we have any questions at all? Why the sky is blue? Why Pluto has lost 20% of its atmosphere in the last... That's those damn SUVs again in the United States. Would you believe what we've done now? Pluto lost 20% of its atmosphere over the last year and a half. And it's the SUVs, from the climate stuff that we're doing on our planet. It's interfering with the whole solar system. You would think those damn SUVs with that much power would have the ability to take us to those places, but it doesn't seem it. But can you imagine that? Pluto losing 20%, and I'm telling you, you should see the winds on Jupiter and Saturn. They have doubled. These SUVs on this planet are wreaking havoc on the whole solar system. Oh my God! All right, so where are we? That was one of the questions you could have asked. Doc, why do SUVs have that effect on our solar system? I don't know. I'll have to wait for that question to be asked. All right, because who needs me to ramble on my pickiums? All right, let's jump over from the yen to, where do we go from here usually? Usually we take a look at oil. So we're going to go to oil, and then we'll go back and look at the currency pair that matches oil. So, or let's do the currency pair first. So let's go to NASCAD right there. Go to the loonie. And see, we widen that baby out. You can see pressure on there today. And I think oil is feeling the same pressure, right? And where we land on the spreadsheet with that, we're 5 weeks in a buy and 2 days still in a buy. But today, look at it, the pressure is on there. So now let's take a look at where it's at on the Chicago Quant. If we can find it on the Chicago Quant. Activate. And you can see there, it's not really having much issues about that. What do they say about this, about that? See? It's really up at the top of the range, but still not really letting go. You can see the weeklies have been holding up firm. Just a little weakness in here, and they got that channel thing going on. So now let's go and take a look at its relative, its cousin, the crude oil contract, and see how that's acting there. And there it is, right? How did we go out last night? Didn't we go into daily sell? I think we did. Yeah, so we're 7 weeks in a buy in crude oil, and we went into a daily sell. So in this case here, I guess crude was leading the CAD spread, you know, or CAD pairs. We'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence that that means everything in the world, but you know, you can see here on J4X, you know, it's been spiked up and now it's trying to turn down. Same thing, right? Just like that on ours, on the Chicago Quants. So you can see kind of zigging and zagging there, trading at 39.99, 97s, you know, rocking back and forth. And then let's put it up on here. Remember, we're looking at NASCAD up top, and now we're looking at J4X with oil on it. So let's see what the Chicago Quant shows on that. Right there. The Augie Doggy. And so you can see here, you know, it went into the sell there. There's the weekly buy. And, you know, you got your little red dot from yesterday. No, it's red dot today. That's what it is. There, yesterday, it went into the sell without a dot at all. No dot. No dot. That's right, no dot. And then we'll see how they roll along there. I don't think there's any damage going on. You can see in the Chicago Quant, barely moving anything. I mean, the white line's not even through the time manifold. You can see the histogram is hanging around the time manifold, so they're not exactly damaging it. And you can see same thing here on J4X. The white line is well beyond the dash and the rate of change. You know, it's holding up just because it's dipping. It's not exactly going into the sell, you know, like it did here. Finally, the dash caught up, but then it just ripped back up through it, and then you can see how it went up in value. Same thing, chow, when it dropped underneath it. But once it busted out on both of those, went up in value. That's why we put this up on the J4X. So it's well worth watching. Let's see now. What's the next direction we take with this? So that's the oil, and they don't really seem to be having any real complaints, I guess, in the sense of, like, you know, they hate it or anything like that. Where did our high go yesterday? Let's see what that was. That's the numbers right there. So let's see what it was. The high was 41.60. right in the highest of the highs that we were expecting overall. That would be the extreme. We figured it would be getting up there, and that's not from like our math. That's from looking at classical fundamental technical analysis. They're looking at channels, higher highs, lower lows, gaps filled, things like that. And so that's what that's all about. And when you do this, see that gap there? Back in May when the panic occurred, this is where they drove the May contract in oil to a minus. Whoa, there we go. Hey, Daniel. Does it look like GBP JPY is heading into the 120s medium term? Let's take a look. Good question. GBP JPY. Let's take a look at that. Where are you? GBP JPY right there. And you can see on J4X. Come on, it'll fill in. And then that's you can see this is trying to turn up. Now you're asking, will it go? Oh, that's a down move, huh? Okay, so, medium term down the 120s. Well, let's see where that is. Let's put a line in there for you so we can identify it and we can try to figure this out together. Ooh, I like that, a red line. 120. Whoa, 120 is way down there. Why would we find 120? Let's see. What drives us to that 120? Wow. It hasn't been there, as they say around here, in a coon's age. Which means, like, raccoons live a long time and they are a pain in the neck. We've had to give them a few baths. Trust me, they've killed our chickens. Especially the chicks, they like the younger ones. They go after the bigger ones. Usually get away, but they are a nasty keister. Let's see. That's a big number. Where'd you get 120? I mean, I could see there's the low of what is that? Does that move up? No, that doesn't move up. Let's put another one in there for that one. That's what is that? Well, that's 123.74. Let's go and look for 120 and see if there's any correlation to anything to 120. There's a weekly. This is when looking at long terms, way out. The best way to do it is to look and see where it has been. In this case here, you can see going back to 2018, it still wasn't down to there. The best it could do is this one up here and the one. Oh, okay, the crazy spike there. Yeah, how about that? That's an interesting spike. What was that all about? That's interesting. That's oh, I guess that's the corona. That's what that was. That's the corona. Okay. All right. So now let's go to a monthly and see if we can find any correlation to that 120 for you. Yeah, there we go. In 2016, it supported it. And in 2009, it supported it. Right around the elections. Interesting. Aha! See, this is why I like people asking questions. Some people think, oh, I ask a question, I'm going to be embarrassed now. It's like, no, it's a reverse with Doc. What Daniel has done is he's made us look at something, and what do we find? We find that there is a mild correlation with election time. 2016, 2008, in this case here, it's 2000. There's 2008 right here, right? So Trumpy election. No, wait a minute. 2008 was Obama. It was an 8-year cycle almost, and then Trump. And so you can see here it's gliding on that area. Interesting. It's like a presidential cycle. What's that? GBP Jap Yen. What an interesting concept, when you really think about it. Japan and Great Britain, two big active partners with the United States, allies, very supportive, working along together. Interesting. Very interesting, Daniel. I think you may have come across something here we need to investigate. And you can see here it's doing that same thing it did in the middle of the last presidential cycle right there at 2012. See right there? It rode those lines. Now the breakdown to 120 looks like it's a lot to ask for, but I guess if there's a panic like there was with the virus again, it could go down there. Yeah, I could see that happening if we're in a weekly sell. Where are we on that product? We don't have that on the spreadsheet. Let me check that out. And let's see. We're going to put that up from the Chicago Quant look. Let's see. That's GBP JPY right there. Okay. So it's now sliding into the daily buy as we speak, because we had the red and green yesterday. And so you can see it's in the buy now. We can move that green over to it. That will be the morning chart like that. So that's going to be in the daily buy, because yesterday, see, it tried to close. It closed above, but it was red-green. So you have to wait about 6-7 hours and then step in on the weakness. And sure enough, it gave us the weakness, and it played it down. Let's see if we can do that. We'll widen it out and show you. And that's why we don't give it a confirm, because of the red and the green. And they sold it down a little bit, and now it's been a really good purchase in the lower areas. And so, that's in a buy now, officially in a buy. And as long as it stays in that stat of green and above here, it's going to go out in a daily buy today with no problem. But the strength is right there, really. That's where the buy was. And then a lot of times you get some of those, and you can see it here, where you can't put it into the buy. And the next day, it breaks down again into the minuses. You can see it's very lightly minus, but it's still minus. And it's giving you the green dot, and you can't go into the buy. In this case here, it's above it. So it is. But looking for the 120s, I don't know. We're going to have to, what's interesting is what you've brought up is, when you go back to J4X, you can see here, it's almost like a presidential thing between the GBP and the JPY. Let's see. Daniel says, sorry, 120s meaning 125, 127. Excellent. Yep. I think you're totally right there. And then Daniel says, was looking ideally at the 135 to 25 range. Oh, no, I agree with you there. Matter of fact, we're what? You can see it on J4X. We're trading at 133.29 right there. 133.31 offer. So we are already there in that range. And how long have we been in a weekly buy now? You can see that. We can put this on the go down a ways. Let's see. GBP JPY, is it on this? We don't have it on here, so let's put it on here like that. GBP is capped that. GBP JPY, and we're on the the fact check sheet, confirming keeping a track of our numbers every day. In this case here, you've been in a weekly buy in that product. Let's go back to it. Nothing up my sleeve. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds like the Beatles. I was gonna get ready. I was ready to sing A Hard Day's Night. Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Now let's put 4 in there. Where's it at again? Oh, there it is, right there. So we are 4 weeks in a weekly buy. Dun dun dun. On the fact check sheet. So yeah, I think you're there. I think you're playing with it now. You're playing with that range. You would think, looking at it, it's gone. Actually, when you look at it, look where it went into the buy. It went into the buy. Went into the buy in the 133 area, 132.5, 131.5, something like that. Climbed all the way up to the 139 area, almost to 140. And then we went into a daily sell up in here. So it told you couldn't be long anymore. Couldn't be short either, because we're in a weekly buy. You couldn't be short either. So you were now stuck in neutral, just having the profits from that move, and now waiting for the next move. And then what it did is it went into a sell. And today it's playing with the daily buy. So it may be telling us to be long again, or you will be wrong. That's probably what it's saying. So we'll see how this plays out. But it's basically saying, I guess maybe it's done with that 125, 135 area. But what you've brought up more than anything else is it seems to have some type of correlation with the presidency in the United States. And we talked about this. We're looking for hints to other pairs trades that have an effect, and it does seem to have an effect. When you go to J4X, right here, where are you, J4X? Right there. You can see it. It seems to be correlated. Matter of fact, can we go back any further? What did 2000 even look like? We don't have that history there for the monthly, but it is rising, that's for sure. It was rising. That's the most we can say about that. And look at it. Had developed a shelf there. If we widen this out and then move it over, let's see if we can do that. Is that right there? Let's see if we can do this. If we lift this up, make that bigger. Okay, there you go. And so you can see it there. It was a shelf in the 2004 election. And what did it do? It climbed afterwards. That's interesting. And that was George W. Bush. And then Mr. Obama came in. It was Smackadoodle City and sideways most of his political career. But then it really showed some life. His second election, look at that. In the second election, it went up. It's really weird. It's like a presidential cycle product. Did you realize it was doing that? That's interesting. That's an interesting one, Daniel. It's a presidential cycle type thing. What in blazes is going on there between British pound and yen? That it gravitates towards a political trend. Give a call when you have 3 minutes, maybe 5. Okay. Webinar over in 9 minutes. There we are. There we are. I'll call then. There we are. All right, so I hope Daniel comes back with that. I want to know, did you know that that's a presidential cycle? That is so far out. A currency pair that has a relationship to a presidential cycle. Okay, I think we need to put that on the spreadsheet. I think we're going to remove somebody. We're going to work on that over the next 24. We're going to find a way of putting that up on the dun 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 fact check spreadsheet. Dun 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 dun. That's what we're going to do. We're going to find a way. Who should we replace with that? Maybe the CAD Swiss. Does anybody pay attention to that CAD Swiss? Maybe we'll get rid of the New Zealand Spot. We got New Zealand CAD. Do we really need New Zealand Spot? I don't know. I'm going to throw that out there. Leave you traders out there to figure it out if you want to see something changed. Moved. But I want to move. I'm going to move somebody. Someone's going to disappear. Yep. We're going to remove. We're going to definitely remove something and put that in there. Yeah, I remember it being very volatile past 2 elections, but also couldn't remember if Brexit had anything to do with it. Also, let's take a look. Could this have been the Brexit? Let's put cable in, right? Just cable. And cable will identify Brexit with no problem. Came down from the 140s and 150s to the, the 120s or something like that. So that started in 214, right? So there's the Brexit slide from 214 to 217, right? Right. And then that slide there had to do with the corona. Corona. Sharona. All right, now we go back to cable, and yen. And that's 214 to 216, right? In this case here, there's 214. It was still climbing. So look at that. It didn't really have much of an effect on the, let's see, 216 didn't really have an effect at all on that. It was more of the election thing, huh? See that? That's interesting. Very interesting. So, or if it had an effect, it was because it was going up. I guess maybe 216 would be, this is the inverse? Is this like an inverse? So this high peak here would be the inverse. But then how do you get that out of it at the same time? I mean, it didn't take out 212s. Let's go back to 212 in cable. Okay, so there's 212. Where's 212? Right there. Now, it doesn't seem, somehow or another, that didn't seem to have as much of an effect in some ways. Maybe it did, and we don't recognize it yet. We'll have to analyze that. But there's one thing for sure. We're going to put the GBP because anything that can go back to all the way to 2004, 16 years, and have correlations to elections has to be something we need to watch. That's definitely something to watch. Oh, Gitta? Oh, wow. Not the Gitta I know, but Gitta is the economist for the IMF. What a clown organization that is. But she's a pretty looking woman. Let's see if she has anything smart to say. I hope I catch that interview. She's not hard on the eyes, I can tell you that. Let's see. There is that. So, okay, there's pound. There's the cable. And let's go back to GBP JPY. I think we're in the bottom range now. And I guess, when you look at Chicago Quant, it don't want to let go. That's for sure. The daily has a nice trend to it sometimes. That's really interesting. Went into the sell up in here after going into the buy down in here and rode the whole thing back down again, basically, and now it's trying to turn back up again. So we'll keep an eye on that. Joining in with the weekly buy, so that means that you can be long again more than be shorted. U.S. Mexicans should fall through the floor if Biden wins. I don't see Biden winning, but you mean like run to what, 30 or something like that? Or I'm always confused what the floor is in those things with the way us Americans pay attention to the currencies. We do a really poor job of following currencies, I can tell you that. And so right now, let's see, where is the Mexican peso? Let's take a look at that. Dun, 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 dun. Mexican peso, dollar Mexican peso, right there. So it's at 22 and change. And see, where is it gone since Mr. Trump has been in office? He got in office in 17. It's been going nowhere really until the Corona thing, the Corona explosion. Now this running up to 26, is that falling through the floor or going back down to 12 is falling through the floor? Back to the 17, 18. Okay, so going down. All right, cool. Yeah. Well, I think it's got more to do with the Corona thing more than it has to do with Biden. I don't think Biden has any effect on the markets right now. In other words, I don't think the markets are interpreting him as getting elected or anything like that. The media has him way up in the polls, but then again, they're supporting his presidency. So, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. That's like saying the Democrats have him up in their polls. So it doesn't mean a thing. And so the Wall Street Journal and all these other places report what's in the Democrat media. So it doesn't really have much value to it. So I wouldn't pay attention to those polls. They also supported Mrs. Clinton, and she stumbled and bumbled her way out of everything. She got hit. She lost big time. All right. I mean, there's the peso. Do you want a weekly? I can see if I can hunt down a weekly in this product. But I wouldn't be surprised it goes back down again. It seems to have been pretty calm over the Trump presidency. Look how calm it's been. That's got to be very positive. That the Mexican peso stayed as strong as it has. Going nowhere. Look at it during the Obama one. They took that thing down went from 10 to 22 during the Obama years, or I guess 20 basically. 19 and a half. So it almost doubled during the Obama years. Whereas during the Trump years, it's pretty sanguine, going sideways. Actually, it started to pick up some strength after he got elected here. That's when he gets into office right here in his policies. So from here on, the product has been pretty quiet under Trump until the Corona thing happened. All right. What else we got to say? I don't know if we have anything more to say. This has been fun. I think we're going to call today's the zero-sum factor and options because I really think that and GBP and it's a tie. I think we're going to go with GBP And let's see. I think the title's going to be GBP and a presidential indicator. How's that? That's pretty cool. GBP. Let's see. And JPY as a presidential indicator. I think that's cool. I like that. All right, this is that beat out the zero sum, and I was totally convinced it was going to be a zero sum title. All right, this is Doc from North America. We will catch you guys tomorrow. So have a safe and smart trading day. Happy trails to you until we meet again.